gaming bets. Online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO? Guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quest for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Starladder I-League StarSeries Season 3. This is going to be our final match, or final match-up, maybe even final map, as we have got HellRaisers coming up against Envy. This is Mirage, this is the pick of HellRaisers, and I think I got some of the weapons missing, so I am just going to retry it while Scrawny tells you about some stuff.
I think we're going to see HellRaisers put up a bit more of a fight here on Mirage. I mean, I think towards the end of Train, we started to see their whole team kind of come to life. The problem of it being, of course, that after an 11-4 half, how hard of a job have you really given yourself when you switch over? So understandable that HellRaisers end up losing the game once we see EnVyUs cool off a little, but as we are coming into Mirage, I think it's all up in the air. And the knife round's underway. So we'll see who does begin to start on the CT side, which this time won't be as one-sided, or at least it shouldn't be, I would hope, Tom.
Yeah, we do obviously hope that we'll see a little bit of a comeback from HellRaisers. I do think there's some definite positives about this sort of map pool at least, because from what we've seen from Envy so far, like, they haven't played much Mirage. Maybe it's been something they've kept in their locker, and it's like, okay, if somebody picks it against us, that's fine. If not, okay, we'll just not pick it. It's not something that we're particularly happy to play. The other thing is, with a map like Mirage, we talk about how much impact an AWP can have. Like rotational AWPers, aggressive AWPers toward mid, or even just going in for a pick over towards Palace, or pretty much anywhere on the map. And although I think Sixer definitely can step up with the AWP sometimes, he's not really the type of player where you go, okay, this guy's going to take over a map, or this guy's going to be the best player in the server. He's more of a support player. So when you have a support AWP, you don't really want to go towards Mirage. I don't think it's the map you want to choose. Whereas if you look towards Dead Fox, he is the player where you go, okay, if he's on point, he could literally take over this map for HellRaisers and they will come out on top.
No, you're absolutely right. And I hope, honestly, to see a bit more life from Dead Fox, because as you just said, this map kind of plays into his advantage. And while Train is a good opping map as well, of course, the economy was playing a factor. He never got his hands on it. And it's a clean slate. So anything can happen as we do come into the pistol round. It's EnVyUs on a full 5 sets of Kevlar. Sixer early onto the pistols. Going to spot HellRaisers pushing up towards Catwalk. It is Dead Fox himself trying to lead the charge, and he does drop Scream to get this round started. HellRaisers with not only an opening man advantage, but a lot of map control now as the bombs now rotated its way towards the A site. RPK, feeling the heat, is going to fall into the safety of his spawn.
Yeah, they had the perfect position to actually hold off all the rotates, although they will actually lose Dead Fox. Sticko in such a good spot to try and hold off Sixer, but he is going to whiff the shots, giving them an opportunity to get back in. Sticko still in the back lines will just be a pain, because they have to isolate him before they can really push back in. And, well, without a kit, you spoke about it, they only have Kevlar, so they need to be finding these kills quickly. Eventually, Happy will shut him down, but now they're trying to push back onto a site that still has 3 players at a crossfire. And I think even for Happy here, he's had some crazy moments. I don't think there's any way he's coming out of this round.
Looking to maybe hold HellRaisers towards the site so that the bomb can topple them over. Still some Kevlar to take away from them, so why not force the fight? But Happy instead to cower to the top of mid. He will survive for now and for certain, as he does survive the outcome. So HellRaisers with the pistol, and honestly, the exact start they needed to this T-half.
Yeah, you always want to be getting the pistol, not only because it secures your economy, but on the CT side of Mirage, there's a lot of choke points that without utility, it's very, very easy to take over. Mid-control as well, without an AWP as such, going into that first Byron will be a little bit more difficult. Sixer is going to be saving up some cash. As you can see, he's got 1,100 in the bank, even after buying himself the Deagle. But, well, that nade is absolutely brutal. 5 HP left on him. Zero is going to be spotted over towards this B site, and they do actually have a smoke onto XMS to slow things down, but the problem is the split has already come in from short, and they should be able to isolate these two players on the site.
Wanted to lead the charge, he'll find XMS. Now, there is still Sixer in his position, but no, he too falls, as does Happy, who is trying to fight from the site itself. RPK, though, he finds two and gives a breath of life to the EnVyUs forces. Scream has himself Kevlar and a P250, and he has crept out towards the site itself. But there is Zero to the back of the bench, and he does quell the threat. So HellRaisers finding themselves the conversion point, but honestly, EnVyUs making them sweat and work for it. I mean, a lot of early mid control. Yeah, simple as that. End of story. HellRaisers did a great top mid play, tried to get to the site, and it was just within the chaotic push that EnVyUs found some frags. But as expected, they lose it in the end. And once more, Tom, it is just pistols.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity now for those UMPs to just farm up some cash. Also be the sort of players to feel out the map a little bit more. If you lose a UMP, maybe in the modern meta, we will see EnVyUs save that into the next round. It has been happening quite a lot where teams will just go to this UMP to actually get themselves extra utility on the board, especially if they save it. But it's nowhere near as bad as losing an AK, so you can have that aggressive push. We are seeing a complete stack of this A site at the moment from the CT side, and really this should be Zero's job to just push over towards this B site and find out some information, because it definitely can happen where teams just, they don't want to push too much in just in case they hit a stack, and B is probably the site that most teams would stack on this map itself, but you still hope that he will just go and have a look around, and then if they take control, it will be a very, very easy round for them, whereas, well, if you look at the A site, there is a huge opportunity here for Envy to absolutely destroy them.
Yeah, you're always hoping that the palace/ramp push is what you end up finding, but the counter to this kind of a stack, of course, is the mid play, which HellRaisers have now employed in back-to-back rounds, and again, they find the B-bomb site, this time with much less losses. All 5 players still fine and dandy. No damage dealt whatsoever as the bomb is planted in a 5v5. And at this point, HellRaisers, or rather EnVyUs, have nothing to lose, barring the P250 of Happy. So if they want to try to grab some exits exactly like that, they could still make this one costly for the HellRaisers forces. Scream drops one. Dead Fox tagged down to 30. He's going to just retreat from the engagement, swap back to the UMP, and find himself inside the site. So HellRaisers not wanting to lose any additional players. EnVyUs doing a good job of just staying alive, and while they haven't necessarily dealt damage, this is also a good way to prevent your opponents from making extra cash.
Yeah, exactly what was on my mind, rather than doing what a lot of teams do where they just try and take a weapon or two and get something into the next round. Instead, they're just not going to give much money over to the other side. And in fact, I think they dropped a rifle right at the end, which is just going to be wonderful for them. I know it's not going to be a huge detriment to the economy right now of HellRaisers, but it's still an extra rebuy. And, well, they are going to keep the UMP in. I definitely don't blame them for that. It would be a little bit of an overforce, but a decent buy coming in for Envy as well, even with an AWP onto Sixer, who's looking to take that challenge over mid, which, for the early rounds at least, has been something HellRaisers have wanted control of.
And HellRaisers take control of it using that window smoke. So this isn't the first time Sixer's position has been nullified. He's going to have to rotate over towards the A site, which forces Scream into a position to somewhat help with Connector. But no, instead, they're going to get aggressive. And so Angel has to be extra cautious as Scream is rounding the corner. Angel's spotted, but Angel takes the headshot. RPK is going to go wide and try to frag back. But no, Angel doubles down. A 5v3 immediately found here to the HellRaisers' favor, and they use that mid-control with Sixer's absence to take the split into the A site. Angel finds a third, all 3 headshots, and it is just down to XMS with Happy.
Yeah, well, Angel has definitely come to play on this map. 3 kills for him. Obviously, the first 2, you have to say, were... Well, the first was the aggression, the attempt to take over late control of the ramp. The second was an attempted trade, and he just made both look very, very easy. But the last one was more just Sixer making a bit of a mistake. Unable to hit the shot with the AWP, isolated by Angel. And, well, now they're actually going to go on the hunt. And that is definitely understandable from their perspective. All 5 players currently standing. They've got a little bit of money left, but the likelihood is there's going to be next to no buy from Envy other than a couple of pistols in the next round. So just making sure that they can take the rest of these players out would be a nice little addition. In fact, though, XMS is going to sneak back in and pick up an AWP.
The magic stick chucked back on over to Sixer. he looks as though he's going to go for that early A-site aggression. Now, he is going to be one of the only 2 primaries held in the hands of EnVyUs. Happy with the M4, Sixer has his op, and so it does make sense to try and go for some kind of an audacious peek, but instead of going for the ramp pick, he'll try into Palace and find 0 contact at the time being. Bondik is going to creep his way in here, though, so it comes down to who holds this angle longer, whether or not Bondik realizes the threat is there. It leaves. Sixer going to give up the angle, and RPK will stay here as a bit of an anchor, though. So even though the frag isn't found, the positioning is. Oh, so dangerous. There we go.
Yeah, that's a little bit unlucky. Obviously, trying to make a bit of a play, expecting there to not be anybody there after the early peek into Palace, and instead loses his life. Angels found another one as they now have control of the A site. RPK will be there with his P250 this time to no prevail, and it does just leave Happy in a position where, well, I think he should just fall back with this M4. XMS has a 5-7, and while Zero still lurking in the backline, is going to make things even more difficult, looking like the potential to wipe the board of all EnVy players, but Happy will be surviving at least a little bit longer, only with 25 HP, doesn't know the positions of the rest of the players on the T side, and most of them are jumping through that window.
Yeah, they're not giving any breathing room for these EnVyUs players. It is just push after push, rapid pace as well. We have not seen that burning of the clock down to the 15-20 second mark where we saw HellRaisers try to really work in the train map just previously. This time they are playing early on. They're going for that top mid control with an immediate window smoke. They're taking it by storm. They're allowing their players to creep elsewhere on the map as well to be ensured that EnVyUs aren't going for pushes. And I think, honestly, that's it. We're seeing EnVyUs play a much more passive CT side, or at least in these first 5 rounds, than we did on Train, where they were getting very much aggressive. EnVyUs do go for the 2 players within a site at the early bout of this round, but again, they make 0 contact as HellRaisers take top mid for absolutely free.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a much more confident HellRaisers and a little bit of a lackluster EnVy at this moment in time. It definitely looked like they had their prep much better off on Train, and from the T's perspective, well, they're just taking map control wherever they want. Angel is actually going to get dinked up by RPK. He's been able to get away with quite a lot so far in this matchup, entering onto the site the majority of the time. So if he's lost early on, it could be a different story. But in the meantime, the push is going to come in from Connector. Sixer will actually win the first duel, but very quickly traded out. And the Molotov will force RPK out into the open. DevFox another with the AWP. And once again, this A site has fallen. And it looks just way too easy at the moment for HellRaisers.
Stico chimes in with yet another as well, so just making mincemeat of these A-site defenders. Stico with a 3K, but Bondik does fall. XMS able to find something here for the EnVyUs favor. And I think you touched greatly on it, Tom. It comes down to confidence. I mean, HellRaisers, this is their map choice. Should be their bread and butter. And I think if you think of like the old HellRaisers, the vintage gatekeeper HellRaisers of early, 2016, late 2015, Mirage always was their go-to. Even back when they played with, say, the Kazakhstani players in Doja. I think this is a match where Angel himself excels, not only in his ability to lead teams on this map, but just from an individual basis. I mean, there's no surprise to see him at 8-1, I don't think. This is his home turf.
Yeah, I would agree. This map and Cobble has always been a very, very good map for HellRaisers, and we saw that recently as well, that Angel is a player who can definitely step up on that map. Now, in this round, we're back to pistols for EnVy. 6-0 on the T side as well for HellRaisers is nothing to be frowned upon. Flashbang will come out. XMS, he's got a blind 2. Catch is actually the first. Will be isolated from Bondik, who's already fallen onto the site. And, well, we are going to see Happy Tag manages an AK for a second, but DevFox will decimate him. And the cleanup from Bondik as well will keep 3 men alive, even in a scenario that started wonderfully for the French.
I mean, I think this is EnVyUs at this point, just kind of getting a little absent. They're not even really, locking down sites similarly to the way we saw on Train. RPK with the big 3K spray downs, that's nowhere to be found. This is HellRaisers very much setting the pace of the game so far in the opening 7, and now about to do so in the 8th. It is going to be the double op setup. However, Sixer aggressively to the top of mid, makes 0 contact, and so he falls into the A site instead. Again, there's this kind of, early bout towards top middle, but it's once more left open from EnVyUs. And while HellRaisers haven't aggressively pushed their way to the top and taken control of it themselves, it just sits there for the taking, absolutely free. And I think that the middle portion of Mirage is just so crucial when it comes to executions into either of the bomb sites, similarly to, say, Cash, per se. And so to see EnVyUs really give it up for free time and time again, when it is going to be used as the cornerstone of their failure, I'm a little surprised here. But HellRaisers have given them a bit of breathing space in that they haven't overwhelmed them just as of yet, not to mention EnVyUs with a man advantage.
Yeah, XMS's aggression has paid off. And as you said, just mid-left open at the moment. Scream has rotated back into the window. His position may come into play a little bit later on, but they're actually just going to go splitting straight again onto this B site. Happy still remains. Now he's going to be holding an angle to Apps, but now they know exactly where he is. He will be able to get one, but it's quickly traded out by Sticko, and Angel's position is just deadly to Scream. Able to stop any sort of rotation. Plant will be there to try and bait in one of these players to push back. RPK is actually going to be able to even things up, and looking at the HP, this is a pretty good scenario once the loss of Angel comes in.
Sixer creeping in from the back of Market, trying to buy time for the tank to rotate forward. Catwalk being cleared. Sticko to the close right, but Zero holds the angle. He does not hold his head. RPK taking a clean shave as Sticko is able to trade it back, but no, Sixer's on the bomb. He's going to try to hold it out. The flashbang goes the wrong way, and style points as he is executed through the side of that box. Great play from Sticko. He realizes, of course, exactly where it's planted, and despite, of course, the health advantage going the way of EnVyUs, they just can't make the retake happen.
Yeah, and that was one of those scenarios that, yeah, it could have worked out for Sixer, but it wasn't really necessary. There was a fair bit of time still left. He had a kit as well. It is very worrying at this point. Now, 8-0 for HellRaisers. Looking like we're going to see a little bit more mid-presence in this round from the CT side. And it does have to be said, there aren't many teams that can get away with playing a sort of looser style over towards mid. I think Cloud9 did something of the sort for a little bit, where they had a ladder room control coming in from automatic, and that was one of the only teams that I think could get away with it. But they had so many like dynamic styles that they played on the CT side that really it was just one that they would throw in every other round, and then Skadoodle may come in with the AWP as well over towards middle. So we haven't seen that from them yet. It's not really been very dynamic. It's just been, okay, mid, here you go, HellRaisers, enjoy.
Yeah, look, again, I mean, Happy, he makes contact, peeks wide, and of course with the pistols, how is he expected to contest the middle of the map? But even as they rotate towards the B site, Zero is able to use the gun advantage to just pop the head of XMS. And immediately, yet once more, we find HellRaisers with a favorable position. And map control, plentiful at that. Sticko is inside the ladder. He does get caught out by Sixer's P250. A bit of damage dealt as Sticko falls to 72, but at this point, HellRaisers, the time is getting quite low, so they're going to have to make their play. And their options are so open. They've got mid control, again, for absolutely free. They've got a player feeling out each of the two bomb sites, so it all comes down to where they feel most comfortable. Bondic's trying to make a bit of a ruckus here at the A site, and it does draw the vast majority of EnVyUs' attention. Happy's going to be alone towards middle, and as he rotates down through underpass, he knows exactly what has happened. The B site has fallen for absolutely free.
Yeah, that's one of those sort of pistol gamble plays where presence is made and they just go for it, hoping that they can maybe catch a stack. But unfortunately, they've just been completely baited in. Bondic able to force every single player to rotate over towards that A site, and in the meantime, his team just strolls into the B site. And there's very little hope for anything to be achieved in this round. 9 rounds already going to be on the board for HellRaisers, which is absolutely ridiculous. No return whatsoever. And I'm starting to realize why Envy don't play Mirage.
Yeah, they seem a little outclassed at the moment. A little lost at that. I mean, the rotations, they're playing very antsy. They're playing very responsive. I feel like HellRaisers have a read on the map. They have a read on EnVyUs' defense as well. Like, all it took was Bondic to fire a couple of shots from Palace, and everybody rotates over to the A bomb site. Maybe EnVyUs just trying to get ahead of the push, seeing as all they had was pistols. But they are going to make a bit of little change up here, Tom. It's the double op setup between Happy and Sixer.
Yeah, and actually, neither of them are going to go and play in towards middle, at least in the early scenarios. It will be Scream to challenge, and then we will see the setup of Sixer in towards that connector. The aggressive push over towards Apps will pay off once again, but in the meantime, we're going to see the push from Angel. He's entered this site so many times. RPK This time, not being a tank, just being shut down. Sixer will be able to trade back. Angel is gone, but once again, Sticko steps up, brings it to a 3 versus 3. Now, Scream's position is a nice one. He may be able to catch ones, denies the bomb plant. Quickly traded, though, from DevFox, who's very good on the trigger. And that will actually leave XMS and Happy trying to cut back into the side. Obviously, the bomb's not down, so they don't really have to go for anything as of yet. Just need to wait. Obviously, the second that bomb begins to be planted, they know there's only one player that can actually deny them. Molotov going to go onto the site. I don't really see how that benefited them too much, considering there's still a minute left on the clock. And actually, more interestingly, it looks like HellRaisers are just going to back out onto the site.
Very interesting situation here. HellRaisers have been able to grab the bomb and retreat. And XMS has realized this as he goes wide, sees the site completely open. And Happy, while holding the passive angle towards CT, was trying to be the insurance policy. Like you said, the moment they'd hear the bomb plant, he could have swung wide, he could have tried to stop it, and he had the support. But no, HellRaisers have decided to just stampede over towards the B site. XMS is going to be attempting to hold it from up close and personal. Bondic planting the bomb for Catwalk, and he's not going to get covered. But yes, DevFox spots it. XMS takes the headshot. Bondic responds back with one of his own, and Happy is not in position to trade just as of yet. Bondic comes up off of the bomb. Happy peeking wide, trying to find the angle before he pushes it itself, but he doesn't have a kit, so he has to play quite quickly. Bondic cowering on the other side of the corner. This is a game of inches, but the back's been found. Happy sprays down and he chokes! Bondic responds with a 90-degree turn and the killing of Happy and EnVyUs' final hope. My goodness, Tom. That was it. That was their round.
I think he thinks he's already got the kill.
Yeah,
that's the only logical thing I can see there.
We have all done that.
Yeah. Assumes that would be enough bullets, but you're not quite using the AK, and that is a horrible way for them to lose another round. Now this has to be more than tilting. They're already 9-0 up. That round should have been theirs, especially with all the positioning they had. They had the bomb down on the site as well. There was so many scenarios for Envy to win that round. Instead, it goes back. This time, though, XMS again over towards this B site will be there to start. Sixer actually saving, trying to get himself the AWP into the next round. Understandable, but at the same time, I never really like when a team has one player who doesn't buy and the rest of the team fully invest. It is one of those positions where, okay, they're so far down that not doing anything would be madness, but it still seems odd to have one player just waiting to get that AWP. Either way, it started strongly. Angel actually pushing out into mid. Maybe caught out, but actually still going to win the duel. Scream goes down. There's Sixer. As said, he's not really useful in this round. Didn't have anything to play with. And they are being isolated. The A site this time, well, it does hold for at least a second, but now XMS is going to be the only one left. And Angel knows exactly where he is.
He's going to hear it, though. XMS takes the frag, so at least something found. And this is still a winnable position. I mean, DeadFox has dropped down to 41 points of health. Sticko is still at 100 HP, but he's fallen back towards ramp. So it's going to be 2 separate 1v1s. DeadFox removed from the equation as XMS, with surgical precision, finds himself the headshot, swaps out, and then back. He's got the Molotov, but again, no kit currently on his belt. No clue as to where Sticko is. Goes for the wide jump into the site. A interesting strategic decision. That gives Sticko a very easy frag. And an 11th round of the HellRaisers side. EnVyUs, full round loss bonus, I suppose the silver lining, but not a buy as of yet from them.
See, this is where things get even weirder, because now the rest of the team aren't going to buy, and Sixer has enough to buy an AWP. I feel like this has just gone into full, like, tilt mode. There's absolutely no calculation to that. He's going to be sat on in this round with 4,900 in the bank, and he did drop a pistol to somebody, but just a really, really weird decision. It means he could have got something into the last round, some armor at least. Guess who it is again, though? Angel. Absolutely running away at the moment. 13 and 5. Obviously, there's nobody slacking at the moment on HellRaisers' team. Well, they're just cleaning things up. They're just waiting for aggression, playing passive. Know that Envy are going to try something in this round. And they're ready for it.
Just feeding themselves to the meat grinder at this point. I mean, how many of those pushes were just separate and individual, one-on-one basis? That's not the kind of play that's going to actually end up working out. If ever you're going to win a pistol round, it should be that 5-man cohort and a push to one portion of the map, but instead they give themselves up for free. It is the 2v5. HellRaisers sustaining damage. Angel sitting on 4-0-64, but that's not enough to really justify EnVyUs' plays here. Scream is the only man left. He is over towards the B site. Could very well find himself a gun if he can finish off Zero, who is now have revealed himself and is currently alone. EnVyUs looking for any kind of success.
Whoa, come on, this game.
I'm done.
Valve, please. Oh, I hate that I really, really hate that worked.
I mean, hey, at least it wasn't an op.
At least it wasn't an op, I guess. But I really hate that worked. Double AWP setup. In for the side of Envy. It's actually going to be Scream AWPing. Now that is not something I expected to see. Ever.
Yeah, that's a bit odd. Maybe it's based on positioning, seeing as he does go to Catwalk, a spot we hadn't seen any oppers before. But interesting, certainly. Another gun round for EnVyUs. They do have 3 more attempts. Stigo to the top of mid, finds himself the headshot. Happy removed from the equation, and the bottom of underpass. Now, that's another one as Angel doubles up into the A bomb site. Sixer to the top of stairs, trying to make contact, but he too toppled, and EnVyUs just continue to fall like flies, one after another. EnVyUs with 2 still standing. XMS and Scream make that just Scream with the op. So maybe he'll give us a highlight reel clutch, but I cannot help but doubt him.
Yeah, something maybe never seen before. He's known for his one-taps, but it's not really as impressive if you're using an AWP. Unless, of course, he can finish off everyone. Does manage to pick up a first. And a second, in fact. Doing quite a bit, but will lose his life. AWP going to be dropped. 13-0. Now, I said at the beginning, like, we don't see Envy playing this map. I thought HellRaisers would probably do better on Mirage. Not quite to this extent, I'll be honest. 13-0.
Fair.
They haven't... I think there's only really been 1 or 2 rounds where it actually looked like Envy could have won. Like, all the others have just been very, very easy strats. Basic stuff. Just pushing onto the sites, having their players find the entry picks, mid-control whenever they want. It's been a really odd game.
They've taken HellRaisers down to 1 player in only 3 of these rounds. So 3 rounds have been somewhat close, but even then not convincing and obviously not on the board, which is at this point coming up very short. XMS going to get tagged over towards B, losing a quarter of his health to the AK of Zero, who does play dangerously close and dangerously alone. But happy with the Mag 7 over towards Truck. It's not as though he can take some kind of an initiative. He needs to just play responsive to Zero's aggression, which he puts on hold for the time being, seeing as HellRaisers, yet again, have taken themselves a completely free mid-control. They're going to anchor it up by putting a player inside of Ladder, leaving Angel to lurk in from the connector. Bondic, meanwhile, drops a player off of a ramp. Sixer finds a response as he takes 2, so a little bit of life being breathed into the EnVyUs side.
We are going to have the rotation from the bomb, making its way back over towards that B site. Now, Zero has already spotted multiple players here. The first, XMS peeking out, but he also heard the damage done by the Molotov onto Happy, so he should know that there's a player close still. And well, if either of these players don't get a kill, this round will be done. They need to actually do quite a bit of damage. Now, the Mag 7 up this close should be very effective. There goes XMS. It thought Zero would know, but he doesn't actually realize that this is going to be a lot of damage done by Happy. Jumping up and down, trying to do the same with the USP, and will in fact finish things off. Finally, a round on the board. Sorry, guys, the dream is dead. 13-1, and it takes Mag 7s to do it.
Could it happen, Tom? Could the comeback be in the cards? I think it'd be hilarious, no offense to EnVyUs or any of their fans, but to just see the absolute hard reset. Like 5 players alive from HellRaisers, top mid push, kind of, you know, synonymous to what we saw at the beginning of this half. But EnVyUs have an attempt to still find 2 rounds, which is the minimum, really. I mean, it's hard to give any kind of... That is it. That is essentially the outcome here. And RPK finds the opening frag, so... we can't count them out just as of yet. XMS doubling down. That's another frag here to the favor of the Frenchman. HellRaisers coming up short.
Yeah, it does seem like they have maybe woken up. Just a shame it's a little bit late. Zero going to be looking to push back in. It does seem Sixer isolated both angles. He's going to be pincered. RPK looking to try and save him, and in fact, will do just that. A flawless round to finish. Why not? EnVy are going to get their second on the board. And, well, it goes without saying they need to be winning this pistol because they pretty much need to win every single round from here on out. There's only going to be a leeway of a couple, and then the game is done.
Yeah, it's always fair to say that, like, I always consider 4 the minimum, because in that opportunity that even if you lose the pistol in the conversions, you still get 1 rifle round. Regardless of the half, regardless of the bomb plants, you get that, you know, that silver lining. And that's not something that EnVyUs have afforded themselves whatsoever. I think it's a little cliche to always say that the pistol is important, but I mean, how can you argue against it? It literally can decide the outcome of the rest of this game. EnVyUs just starting to come to life. I mean, a convincing 14th and 15th round, but obviously way too late in the game. Kind of similarly to what we saw HellRaisers do on the CT side of Train. Or T side rather, when they put the 14th and the 15th on the board, and then that gave them some chance. But EnVyUs only have 2 as opposed to 4, which is a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, it can come in quite a lot of games, especially games this dominant. But, well, we've got a bloodbath on our hands. Angel and Sticko start things off. It's going to be that Rush B strategy taken straight out of the Russian strat book. Sixer will be able to get another, and Happy should be able to take down one more. So giving them the man advantage once again. The bomb will be going down, and Happy, well, it looks like the Mag 7 frag movie has woken this man up. Dead Fox is all that remains. He does have a kit, but Happy will finish him off as well. 3 for him, 2 for Sixer, and a 3rd round on the board for EnVy.
So at what point do we start taking the comeback seriously, Tom? What score does EnVyUs have to get? Never. 13. Cynical Brit. Typical.
Yeah, just the way that they played on the other side. It would have to more be a ridiculous level of mistake coming out from HellRaisers. They're not even going to fully invest into this round. This is something that they've been doing quite regularly, where they actually, well, sometimes they see how much damage they can do and then buy into the next round early, which they've done rarely. They do it more on the T side, obviously, because the buy is a little bit cheaper. But then into the next round, or what will be the buy round, they just have a lot more utility and an AWP. And I'm really happy to see teams do that. It's more of that sort of old style of CS where the pistols weren't as powerful and you just basically save to get your buy the best it could possibly be.
EnVyUs obviously taking this situation quite seriously here, not just stampeding into any bomb site, not going for that mid control, interestingly, either. I mean, generally you'd see with the weapons advantage, I'd say more presence there, but ooh, Happy getting himself in an interesting spot. However, he's spotted in the process, and that does cost him his life. So meanwhile, EnVyUs are just going to stampede into the B site. They've decided to execute off of Happy's death, and XMS is creating space before punching in the numbers. RPK towards the marketplace in this 3v3. Again, only pistols for the HellRaisers side, and no Kevlar to play off of, but they've grabbed themselves one and attempt to come into market where RPK's traded out. Bondic takes the frag. 2 players still standing on the EnVyUs side, but Bondic, he knows better. He's just going to tuck tail and save to fight in the following round.
Yeah, look to attempt to do more and more damage. They've already made this quite costly for EnVy, dropping the 3 players. It means they're not going to be making up a huge amount of cash. And we have to talk about the fact that he's actually... Ooh, could he catch someone on the X as well? Now, every kill with that SMG is going to be so valuable. And Sixer has an AK. Oh, that is just so brutal. That makes things 10 times worse for EnVy, because now Bondic has an AK, and oh, are they gonna do it? Like I've said in the past that they have gone for these sort of buys. Bondic will buy up armor. That's definitely understandable because it's not even that much of a hefty loss. He's gonna drop a few other pistols. They're basically just gonna have a similar buy to what they had in the last round, plus an AK. Now, on the other side of things, they have a few Mac 10s a pistol in play. This is quite a scary buy for EnVy, if I'm honest, because if Happy goes down, their buy really isn't very good at all.
Oh, and they take the early dink. XMS dropped low already from the pistol. He's Stiko, Angel, they find 2, 3, and maybe more as Scream is dropped down to 1 HP. It is all on Happy. He's gonna find the first headshot, nearly executes the second man as well. Dead Fox still standing with 13 points of health. Happy peeks wide from the side of Catwalk, finds the head of Bondic, and the flick onto Dead Fox. A great clutch from Happy when it absolutely mattered most. But as you said, Tom, that buy was quite weak, and it nearly didn't pan out. You'd think, of course, after losing the second round in the second half of Train, when they used the triple MAC-10, that they'd try to steer away from that. But not this time. They could go back to the MAC-10s. It nearly costs them. And if it wasn't for Happy, this game could be on its way to the finish line. But for the time being, HellRaisers will be able to afford another buy-in. It is M4s across the board.
That last shot from Happy was absolutely ridiculous. That's madness. And well, the man does live in those smokes. He's going to be setting one over towards A main. The rest of the team are taking over mid control. Again, these teams seem to play quite similarly. It is quite weird, actually, how identical they seem to play. However, they have quite a bit of control. And that's the bomb. That's a horrible start. RPK is just going to hand that bomb over. Molotov's going to go out, looking to try and deny any push. Another one will be thrown in from short just to try and give them that extra control. Sticko is going to be able to get another one. Sixer will trade, however, as the peak from Angel is a little bit overzealous. Still trying to get control onto that bomb. Scream, however, spotted, leaving it into a 4v2, and the bomb's still down. And Happy, well, you're not that sneaky, buddy. You'll be caught, as Bondik will add another.
I mean, how do you kind of, embody a discomfort on Mirage? By leading with the bomb in through connector, one of the biggest bottlenecks on the map. And it's immediately dropped into the lying weight of HellRaisers. An easy rotation from them as well, seeing as they held on to the jungle control. Had maybe somebody from EnVyUs gone up into the ladder room and tried to split out that defense, then they could have contested the control. But they just continue to feed themselves over and over to that push, attempting desperately to retrieve the device. And it doesn't work out. It leaves Sixer in a 1v4 with 3 tagged opponents. I will give credit there to EnVyUs. They dealt damage. But at this point, Tom, with the scoreline being so one-sided and now Sixer dying, damage is not enough. HellRaisers 14, EnVyUs 5.
That's one of those shots that you just can't afford to miss. Because now going into the next round, they don't even have that sort of catalyst AWP to play with. We know that because of the last few rounds, they only had 1 player surviving in the last 2. Those are supposed to be rounds where they're making money. Instead, it almost seemed like they were losing money. In fact, they shouldn't have even won the round before, if I'm honest. It had to be a massive clutch from Happy with that AK. And now with this investment, well, the buy on the CT side is tenfold better. Obviously, the Tech 9s, we know how powerful this pistol can be. Running and gunning, the headshot machine, it can work. But it has to, otherwise they're up against map point.
Very slow play so far from EnVyUs, just going for the apartment's control instead. And I'd say that's one of the biggest differences we've seen between these T-sides. The little amount of T-side that we've seen from EnVyUs is that mid-control has been taken late. They're really relying on the underpass control first and foremost. And that does secure them B at the same time, so I do like to see it. But it also gives time to HellRaisers to rotate players inside of window, to position their players on the other side of jungle. It's a bit more of a passive mid-take. It's not so aggressive. And yet they do just barrel their way through connector once more. RPK leading the charge. Not with the bomb this time around, which is a crucial difference. But it is still going to be the majority of EnVyUs here towards connector, waiting for their opportunity to strike the A site. The flashbang, preventing them from pushing out forward as Bondik finds RPK. He's the first to fall, but there's the bomb. Yet again dropped in the lying hands of Stiko, who finds himself 3. Scream taking it back with a headshot off the sidearm, but Angel creeps forward to seal the deal. HellRaisers sit on 15.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that round was Happy was just a little bit late on his timing, because they needed somebody to sort of take that long-range battle over to the player just peeking them directly. The second his teammate goes down, he should be peeking out of Palace to try and trade that back, and then they can explode. Instead, it was just a position where, okay, he peeks out a little bit too late, does a tiny bit of damage, but he was supposed to be I think he was the one with the rifle, right? So he needed to be the big player in the round, not the one just waiting, hoping that the pistols did the damage. Either way, there is no rifle this time. It's all down to the pistols attempting to do the damage. The HellRaisers, of course, with a perfect buy, and it's going to start off with Happy even. We're not talking about the caster. Just rushing straight out of Palace. A little bit of a fake, but the bait hasn't been taken, as most of the players still rely over towards this site. Sixer will, however, open things up.
executes Angel with a nice little headshot, but EnVyUs have yet to take control of the site as Zero still stands, and now Dead Fox rotates into support, but RPK dealing damage off the sidearm leaves Just Scream 1v3. The bomb in his possession. Fakes it out once, but here comes Stico. Closes out the game with a convincing victory here for HellRaisers, 16-5. And we go the distance, Tom. We're headed to Inferno.
Yeah, one of the most dominating T-sides I think I've ever seen. Just absolute madness. They win 13 rounds in a row before any response is made from EnVy. They attempt to make a bit of a comeback, but after that, there's just no way. It's too far down. It's too far gone. And while now we do head on to Inferno, a map that we expect them to do a little bit better on. As said, we haven't seen them play Mirage at all. It wasn't a map that we expected EnVy to be particularly good at, but that was an incredible showing from HellRaisers, absolutely dominating the map, just showing why they're at this last stage of the tournament. And it is only fitting that for our final qualification match, the final spot, we are going to Inferno. We're going to the third map. Now, obviously, guys, as said, if you've enjoyed the casting, let us know. Tweet at us. You can type !casters. Who do you think's taking the final map? Is it going to be EnVy? Is it going to be HellRaisers? And, well, if you're right, sure, one of us will throw you a retweet, I'm sure. Especially if you can give us a score. If you can give us a score, I'll be very impressed. And also, if you missed any of these wonderful maps from NA or EU, you can, of course, check out the YouTube channel, which is in the description. But, as said, we'll be back for our final map of the qualifiers after this short break.